I am pleased to be joined with Luke Johnson in our 6th episode of GSAL Be Inspired to Excel. Luke left GSAL in 2010 and has a career-high ATP singles ranking of 681 on the 6th of March 2020. He also has a career-high ATP doubles ranking of 298 achieved on the 1st of October 2018. He studied in the US at Clemson University, graduating in sports management, and Luke made his Grand Slam main draw debut at the 2019 Wimbledon Championship. It's my pleasure to welcome Luke today. Welcome, Luke.
Hi, Paul. No, thanks a lot for having me. Thanks for the introduction. That was nice. Yeah.
Good. And I know that you've been missing your tennis for the last few months, and you've just let me know that that might restart again.
Yeah. So we've had 4 months or so of no competition, and then the tournaments start. Only national tournaments start next Friday. Is the start of the first one down in London. So they're all going to be sort of based there. The LTA, the governing body, are putting on 4 tournaments in a row, all in London. So luckily, if we can get a place down there and we can just stay in London, and that can all be controlled as through the government guidelines. But it's just lucky to be getting back playing competition, and finally not have to just be looking at a dead end, really.
And who's going to be invited to the tournaments, Luke?
So it's basically the 16 highest ranked British players that enter the tournaments are the ones. There's going to be 16 total, and it could be anyone. I know I looked at one of the lists. The current, I think, British number 3, Cameron Norrie, who's 77 in the world, is entered in the second one. So could be coming up against him, which would be a good experience. And I actually really relish the opportunity to play someone like that.
And do you feel fit and ready to go?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's all I've had to do over the past 4 months. Stay fit, and luckily I've been able to stay motivated and really push myself and be able to really work on things that you wouldn't normally have time to work on off the court during this period.
Yeah, and like we've asked other people, obviously, with it being a GSAL production, if you like, going back to your time at school, what would you say you most enjoyed at school?
I think for me it was, a couple of things. There was the variety of sport that we got at school at GSAL, and then within that, the quality of the students at the sport. I mean, I focused on, when I was at GSAL, cricket and tennis, and there was international rugby players, there was football players, there's international triathletes. Obviously, there's divers. We've had Olympians coming out from my year, the year below, and it's just I never felt strange pursuing a career in a sport. It felt like everyone was driving each other, and the culture to sort of succeed and be excellent in your sport was there. And that was something that really pushed me, because even when we played football in the playground or whatever, there was some serious skill on display.
And of course you were a successful cricketer. I mean, we forget that because you're so successful with your tennis. And I mean we were all absolutely so proud of you last year when you made your Wimbledon debut. Everyone was glued to the screen, and you actually were on BBC with your double partner playing. But we forget you're a competent as well.
Yeah, so that was it. Basically, up to about 15, I was playing national level tennis and county cricket, and I played for the first team at GSAL when I was doing my GCSEs, and yeah, I had a real decision to make at that point as to which. I mean, I thought I had a possible career in either, but I had a decision to make, and ultimately I went with the sport that I preferred, the sport that I enjoyed more, because I knew that something I had to enjoy and love what I did, because there's going to be times that are painful and not that enjoyable when you're playing the sport, but you've got to have a deep down love and passion for the sport.
Because the two, I suppose, two very different sports in the fact that you can play team tennis. You can, you are almost an individual when you play cricket, looking at the stats. But when did you kind of realise that, obviously, 16, it was kind of tennis, but when did you realise that actually I could make a bit of a living at this?
I think I had an idea it was what I wanted to do. Sort of when I made the decision to stop playing cricket, I had an idea that I really wanted. I thought tennis could be the career, but you never. I was 16. I mean, I hadn't really seen the whole world and the level that other people had. And it was more when I went to university in America on a tennis scholarship there, and the level of the players that they have there. And I just thought, okay, I'm doing pretty well here. I'm improving. And then by my fourth year, I definitely knew that was the path that I was going to go down. So I had some good success, and I thought this is what I want to do.
And would you recommend that pathway of going over to the US for our students?
I definitely, for me, it was. I've always said if I had the time again, I would 100% do it. I mean, I was probably underdeveloped when I was 18. I was maybe, I think, 5'9" or so, and then when I came back from university when I was 22, I'm now 6'1". So I mean, I had quite a big growth spurt in those 4 years, and I was able to physically develop and mentally develop, as well as keeping my education going. And that takes a bit of pressure off me on the court, because I know I've got something that's there as a backup if needed. And I've got other life experiences that have just built me as a person off the court as well.
And where would you say, do you actually prefer being in the US now, or do you prefer being back in the UK?
No, I think I prefer being back in the UK. I mean, I love traveling the world, but Leeds will always be my home.
Yeah, well, you seem to follow the sun on the tennis circuit, so you don't really seem to be in the snow too much, do you? And as far as your career so far what would you consider your highlight?
I mean, like you said, the playing Wimbledon, playing my first Grand Slam last summer. That's a dream of any, especially British tennis player, but any tennis player really, to make a Grand Slam debut. But then also back in 2017. I got selected for Great Britain for the World University Games, and I got a silver medal there in the doubles event. And that was early on. I'd only been back playing. I've been playing pro maybe 6 or 7 months then, and to have that success, and I beat players who are ranked inside the world's top 200 and 300 at that time. That really gave me a boost of confidence that I could make a long living out of the sport.
And I suppose as well, the crowds at Wimbledon for a home player. I mean, what was that like?
Yeah, that was special. I mean, walking to the court, the nerves are going, but once you've got on, I think a lot of things you can control and like you're inside. The tennis court is the same wherever you go in the world. And I know obviously the Wimbledon grass is the hallowed turf of tennis, but I think I just had to really work on trusting myself and just playing the game like it was just any other match. It's easier said than done, but I think a good start. We got off to a fast start, and that definitely helps settle down the nerves.
And there's a question that Mr. Knowles has asked me to ask you as far as the A-level students are concerned. What strategies in that sense did you employ during these stressful moments in your career to temper your anxiety?
Yeah, well, I think it's something that a lot of sports players and sports people have to deal with, and for me, everyone talks about visualization, visualizing the really good stuff that you're going to do. For me, on the court, so visualizing the perfect points that I want to play. But then I actually only in the past sort of 2 or 3 years have started to visualize negatives and how I'll deal with them, or visualize moments where I'm like my back's against the ropes, I'm sort of playing, I've got the nerves are going, and just visualize dealing with those and see myself coming through the other side of that. And then also it's accepting that these stressful moments are going to happen. At some point in pretty much every match I'll play, there are going to be moments where it's a bit edgy. If not, it's great, but expecting these moments to happen, then you're not shocked, and then you can just deal with them. And another thing, in those moments when the nerves start, I mean, at tennis we're lucky we've got 25 seconds between each point, and often you don't need the full 25 seconds to recover, but in big moments I like to really get up to 20, 25 seconds just to calm myself down, do a few deep breaths. And then again, just deal in facts in those moments. That's what I talk about a lot with my coach. Ultimately, that point is worth 1 point, like every other point in the tennis match. And going up to the line, whether I'm serving or returning, it's 50-50. There's no, that's just it. There's nothing different about the point. It's not like one big point is worth 80% or anything. It's just 1 point. He's got a 50% chance of winning it. I've got a 50% chance of winning it. Let's go and play.
And do you talk to sports psychologists, or is that the role that your coach would take?
Yeah, so I did work with sports psychologists in America at university. We had access to that, and then one of my coaches is a sports psychologist as well. So he's a tennis coach, and linked into that is sports psychology. So I do a lot of talking to him, and that's where I sort of come up with these strategies to deal with the stressful moments. And then so that's how that comes about.
And what about, I hear that you did experiment, and you probably still are experimenting with a plant-based diet. And I mean, and that's been in the news for quite some time. And how's that going, and what brought you to start that?
Yeah, so I'm still going with it. And I'd been thinking about it. I'd heard about it for maybe 2 or 3 years again. I'd heard about it and thought, this seems like a good idea. And I'd seen athletes that had been doing it, and they look physically, they look great. I mean, I'm talking to them. They say, yeah, I feel unbelievable. But with the travel, for me, I thought maybe it was going to be too tough. Always being in different countries, you don't know what's going to be available in the restaurants in these different countries. And then it was in October time. I was in America, and I had a couple of, I knew I was coming up to the end of the season, and I thought actually now is as good a time as any to try it and work through. And if I was very open, if I didn't feel good or I didn't feel like I could manage my diet and my energy like needed well, I would have just stopped it. But I went there, and I went into pre-season in December and did it through that. And my peak power, my endurance, my relative strength, my strength, my body composition, everything went in the right direction. So I've just stuck with it from then. And I enjoy it. I feel energized. I feel good.
And where do you get your ideas for it all, and what you should be eating?
So I try to just eat when I can. I'll eat every meal. I try and have like a protein, carb, and vegetables. Keep it. Obviously, sounds boring, but obviously I'm getting better. I'm getting better at the cooking. The lockdown's given me time to get better at the cooking, and then just look online, look for recipes online, find things that I like. Ultimately, sometimes the food I'm eating I'm not enjoying that much. It's just a necessity. It's what I need. I'm putting in my body what my body needs, and then I just try to monitor what I eat through. I've got a food diary which I basically log all my meals, all my snacks through the day, and at the end of each week I go through and I look and try and basically have a 80% good and 20% between average and not good. So I give myself a bit of leeway, to have bad things, but I try to keep it under control and go a lot on what I feel and how my body's feeling on the court.
Good. And with your training, obviously that's been severely disrupted through lockdown, and obviously your competitive matches. What would be a normal day like for you, and how has that changed with lockdown?
Yeah, so during lockdown, like the severe lockdown when we're only allowed sort of out of the house for an hour a day, I was trying to get up each morning. I sort of got up about 7:30. Well, pretty much 7:30 on the weekends, 8:30. You try and keep some sort of structure to the day, and then I'd do yoga each morning. I would do cardio session, be it on a bike in the garage, or luckily we live quite close to Roundhay Park, so I'm able to get out and do a bit around there. And basically it was 6 days a week where I would be training. and the real trick was to try and mimic. So we're used to playing 2 to 4 hours tennis per day, and then doing conditioning and weight sessions on top of that. So to try and, when you're only allowed out of the house for an hour a day, to try and mimic 4 hours tennis plus a conditioning session was something that luckily my strength trainer was quite resourceful, and I was doing different things, I ended up probably working out maybe 3 or 4, probably 4 to 5 times a day if I'm including the yoga and things like that. And then just to try and get the pure volume of what I needed for when I would go back into tennis. And then obviously 4 weeks ago, roughly, I think it was, maybe a bit more, we were able to start playing tennis. Tennis clubs opened and tennis courts opened. So since then, I've been able to go back to a bit more normality and build up the tennis hours again.
And how many hours would you be doing on court on average per day?
I would say probably 3 times a week I'll do 4 hours, and 2 to 3 times a week I'll do 2 hours. And they're usually in 2-hour sessions. Occasionally it'll be 1 3-hour session or something like that, but usually it's in 2-hour sessions, because the average match length is probably about 90 minutes to 2 hours.
And would you be coming off the court exhausted, or would you plan your sessions so that it was more of a skill-based session?
It varies again, often, because tennis is the hand-eye coordination is quite high, and you need quite a lot of fine motor skills to actually control the ball. When we go on sort of Mondays and Tuesdays are often a lot more high volume, because generally Sundays would be the day off, or basically a couple of days after the day off is a lot more high volume, because you've got the legs are fresh there. And then as you start getting later on in the week, you might start doing sessions which are a bit more technical. And then if you're obviously absolutely exhausted going into the session might get shortened, or it might just be a session where me and my coach decide this actually is going to be something that you're going to be tired in matches. To win tournaments, you're going to have to be tired and win. So then we just actually do a hard session when I'm already tired, just mental training really.
Good. And if you were going to offer advice to our students, coming through the system now, who are elite athletes, or even just participants, those who just love the game or love sport in its sense, what advice would you give to those people?
I think you've got to just love the sport, enjoy it. Ultimately, you play. Everyone starts playing because they enjoy it, and never forget the reason that you started playing. I think if you're going to follow a career in sport, I think you've got to understand the ups and downs that come with a career in sport. There's always going to be peaks and troughs, and just recognise and understand that that's something that's going to happen. It happens to the very best. The greats of all sports have had seasons where they've not performed to how they like. And then again, if you're following a career, try to understand the sacrifices that you're going to have to make, whether it be social or financial, or even moving away from family or whatever. There is going to be sacrifices, but I think the main one is this all is all worth it for me. The travel and everything is all worth it, because I love the sport, and I can really feel myself improving, and just try to really get better each day.
And what's your go-to sport when you're in your downtime? Is it tennis?
Yeah, I mean, I love watching tennis. And I really enjoy cricket. I think I miss it every summer, especially when the sun's out. I miss it, and I wish I could play it again. And I think when I finish my tennis career, I'll 100% be playing cricket again. But at the moment, when I'm not playing tennis, I'm tending to need to be resting.
Yeah. So it's spectating. It's watching England play cricket. Is that what it's all about?
England play cricket, or Leeds United playing. Yeah.
Yeah. Good choices. Yeah. So, Luke, we finish off with 10 questions, and the only rules of the 10 questions is you just got to give me one answer.
Okay.
You can, as Gordon did, Gordon Benson, try and explain his answer, but that doesn't wash with us, and Gordon found out. But no, it's all in good fun. So 10 questions, and as I say, just one-word answers. So first question: sporting hero.
Andy Murray.
Biggest influence?
My grandpa.
Good. Toughest opponent?
At Wimbledon, yeah, Nick Munro and Zverev.
Brilliant. Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Pizza or burger?
Burger.
Here's one for you. Favorite pop group?
Let's go One Direction for that one.
Good man, good man. Favorite subject at school?
PE.
Good man. I think I know the answer to this one, but we'll ask it anyway. I know what I'm hoping it to be. Favorite football team?
Leeds United.
Good. Summer sun or winter fun?
Summer sun.
And if not tennis, what job?
Sports agent.
Good, good, good. And is that something you'd be looking to in the future? Would that be a possibility?
Yeah, I would enjoy that. I would also really love to get into commentating on sport.
And the avenues are available for that on the BBC and Eurosport and Sky?
Yeah, I think a lot depends on, obviously you could go down the traditional journalism route and then become a commentator, or I could just get my ranking really high. And then they invite special guests on to commentate, and I know a lot of people's careers have gone from that.
Yeah, I know Andrew Castle. He seems to have done well out of it on his daytime television.
Yeah. So I've missed the journalism degree route. So I've got one option left, and that's win a lot more tennis matches.
Well, we're certainly behind you for that, Luke. And listen, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I could talk to you all day about it. And we are very proud of your achievements. We were so proud of you at Wimbledon last year. And as I say, we were glued to the television. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that this can happen again. Obviously not this year, but next year. And you're still a young man and, plenty of time.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And thanks for all the great times and great memories I got from GSAL. I know I wouldn't probably be the sportsman or person I am today without all the input of GSAL. So thanks again for that.
Thanks, Lou. Really appreciate it. You take care. Good luck next week.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.